Alright, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Here for some more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. Today we're going to be going over something I find a bit interesting and just to discuss with you guys down below in the comments as well. So as we all know, the Steam page did give us a brief description about the game, something that we've been over many times before here on the channel, but not every single page will share the same information. Now, Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation, they all have the same description, but what I mean is if we go back to the European Bandai Namco page, it will give us something slightly different, not necessarily too major, but again, I just found this extremely interesting. So first off, we have the genres, action/adventure, which is nice because if we go over to Dragon Ball Xenoverse, the genre is just fighting, which does make sense because it's more of a 3D fighter. That's what you mainly do in the game. There is going to be some exploration because of Toki Toki City, but it's not necessarily anything major. We do have some RPG elements, but at the end of the day, their genre for Xenoverse 1 is fighting. Same thing goes for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Now, it is a bit more expansive compared to Xenoverse 1 with Kanton City. The exploration is a bit greater. RPG elements better, the CAC customizations, all that good stuff, right? The combat 3D fighting aspect of it enhanced in every way possible. It's just an overall better game compared to Xenoverse 1. However, they're still classifying this as a generic fighter for the genre tab, right? So going back to Xenoverse 3, it's cool how they're not just classifying Xenoverse 3 as a fighter. We have action adventure, so we're going to be getting a ton more different elements, whatever falls in the action adventure genre. We do have a description about the tag itself, which we will go over, but that's not what I want to talk about. If we go over to the article that came out a while ago, again, this is going to be the European side of things. I usually go over the US based websites, so wasn't necessarily aware of this until more recently. It's about a minute read written by the PR team. We do have some different information compared to what's on the Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation page, correct? So the first couple of paragraphs are going to be about the same. It's not different until we go down here. It says, the game combines an epic story-driven RPG experience that will take Dragon Ball fans on an unforgettable, action-packed journey into this new universe and its cast of characters. So this is what I mainly want to focus on, an epic story-driven RPG experience. Because if we go back to the Steam page, they're using a different genre to describe their description. Xenoverse 3 delivers an action-adventure experience packed with intense battles and extensive character customization options. So this action adventure actually matches what they're saying on the official Xenoverse 3 website, right? But for some reason, the European page decided to go with the different subgenre RPG experience. There very well could be some similarities between action/adventure and RPG. Maybe that's why they decided to use RPG over here on the European page, or maybe they're just trying to say, yes, Xenoverse 3 will be focusing on action adventure and RPG, just giving us a bit of extra information, hence why I kind of want to bring this to you guys' attention. Now, I know this may not seem the most exciting piece of information for some out there, considering both Xenoverse 1 and Xenoverse 2 had the RPG elements to the games, which we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that later on. But for now, I want to go over the tags for the prequels. First and foremost, thanks to you guys for informing me that I can't necessarily be going off of these tags here, because these were placed by actual players that best suits Xenoverse according to them. It literally says popular user-defined tags for this product. So thanks again. We obviously have to go off of the legitimate tags/genre. So for Xenoverse 1, it only says action, which does match the Xenoverse 1 page over on the US Bandai Namco one, right? It says action/anime. Now, going back to the European, it says fighting, but that co-aligns with action because that's what action basically is. All you do is fight. That's the foundation of the Xenoverse video games. Now, if we go over to Xenoverse 2, as I explained before, it is a bit more expansive. We have additional genres: action, adventure, casual, and massively multiplayer. So let's go ahead and break down each genre. Action, as I explained before, that's the core gameplay of Xenoverse 1 and Xenoverse 2, 3D Arena. Adventure, I do understand why they decided to put that for Xenoverse 2, is because Xenoverse 1, Toki Toki City, the exploration was very bare bones. All you got to do was walk around in a circle, talk to a couple computers, and go over to the reception center. Over here in Xenoverse 2, it was a bit more vast. Kantan City, we had the different subdivisions: Planet Namek, the Mushroom Area, West City, the Reception Center, and of course the centerpiece that held everything together. And if we wanted to, we got to explore even further, go over to the Hercule Mansion, Majin Buu House, or even up in space to talk to Frieza or whatever. Now, the adventure was non-existent in the actual story mode, because story mission, it was basically just cutscenes, then battles, cutscenes, battles, cutscenes, battles. Again, and that was the core gameplay, just 3D Arena Fighter. Hopefully, we have a bit more exploration in the actual campaign for Xenoverse 3, which again, I will talk a little bit more about that. Casual, that makes sense. It's not necessarily a competitive game. Of course, you could take it there if you really wanted to, create the most chaotic or even toxic CAC, whatever build you're deciding to go for at the time: close range, combat, key blast, long range, or maybe a mix of both, correct? Casual makes sense because anybody could just jump in without any experience and play the game, just do the story mode or all the other offline content. Now, speaking of content, the massively multiplayer. It was significantly better compared to Xenoverse 1. They expanded on the multiplayer a lot more with 2v2s, 3v3s, the kind of co-op features to the parallel quests, the expert missions. We even have the crystal battles where we become the villains, 1v5 or even 2v4s. You can team up with another crystal villain, kind of insane. And the raid battle themselves, where we go up against the cast characters with an immense amount of health. You guys get the idea, right? They definitely open the doors in terms of the online realm. So all these genres do make sense for Xenoverse 2. Now, going back over to Xenoverse 3, you can see we have the genres action, adventure, and RPG, all already confirmed. Going back to the main page, action, adventure, and the description, they used RPG. So since that RPG is over here and nowhere to be found within Xenoverse 1 or even Xenoverse 2, do keep in mind both these games had the RPG elements, correct? But since it's actually stated on the European page and Steam, does this mean the RPG feature to Xenoverse 3 is going to be even greater to Xenoverse 2? It might be like a whole legitimate RPG style, right? Because as we all know, Dragon Ball Online, that was an MMO RPG, and Xenoverse took some elements from that game with the characters, the RPG features. So what I'm trying to say is, what if Xenoverse 3 actually goes back to not necessarily the MMO RPG status, but it just tackles the RPG elements even more? You know what I mean? So this is getting me even more pumped up for Xenoverse 3. Just because of that RPG element, we have to take a look at the signs. Going back to Xenoverse 1, it was just the action genre. Then Xenoverse 2, since it was significantly better compared to Xenoverse 1 with the adventure, larger Toki Toki City with the different subdivisions, makes sense, casual, and massively multiplayer, as I explained, with all the added online modes. They're updating the genres accordingly to have it fit the actual game. The interesting part is, Xenoverse 2 had the RPG elements. However, the genre was nowhere to be found. They didn't promote Xenoverse 2 as an RPG. But for Xenoverse 3, I'm just repeating myself, it's right there. So I just feel like they're definitely going to be excelling in the RPG department. At least a lot better than Xenoverse 2, and it's going to be a great time for sure. I'm looking forward to Xenoverse 3. Did you guys drop a like on today's video yet? Please do so. This is going to be the description for the RPG category, and it says the RPG tag on SteamDB is used to identify and categorize games that fall under the role-playing genre. Role-playing games, or RPGs for short, offer immersive experiences where players assume the roles of characters in fictional worlds. These games often feature complex narratives with intricate storylines, character development, and open-ended exploration. Players can interact with non-playable characters, make decisions that influence the outcome of the game, and engage in combat or strategic battles. RPGs come in various subgenres, including action RPGs, fantasy RPGs, sci-fi RPGs, or even tabletop RPGs. With the automatic SteamDB page dedicating to this tag, users can easily discover, explore, and filter games based on their preferences within the expansive RPG category. This description definitely fits with the Xenoverse 3 description, right? We have a whole new world set in Age 1000s. They already confirmed New West City. We get to explore the bustling areas, encounter characters, and uncover exciting new stories. The only location that's confirmed is West City. Hopefully the adventure part of the game is a bit more expansive compared to Xenoverse 2, because do keep in mind we were time patrollers in a hub world, so that's why small portions of areas were connected, like the planet Namek, West City. We need this to be an actual new worlds, what they're promoting the game, you know, in Age 1000, so we need to go to different locations, not just a small part of West City. We want to go to the Kami's Palace, the Supreme Kai worlds, or the Sacred Land of Korans, the Rocky Mountain area. We need to be able to do so, right? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if New West City will be the main core of the exploration. That's what the description says here. I kind of want the exploration, adventure, and action to be part of the story. Well, obviously, action is straightforward, right? That's just going to be the fighting mechanic, but I kind of want that to be a little bit different as well. So, for example, let's just say you're doing the story mode, right? Instead of Xenoverse 2, where it's just the 3D arena fighter with cutscenes and then rinse and repeats, I kind of want it to be where you do the story, you get the cutscenes, of course, don't get me wrong, that will still be part of the game, but then you have to explore or, you know, travel to the mission itself instead of just automatically jumping into the 3D arena fighter, right? And that will be a bit more expansive in terms of the exploration as well, because going over to the mission, we just get to, you know, maybe do side quests, talk to or even encounter characters and uncover exciting stories by doing their side of things. You know what I mean? That could be fun. And maybe when we do the exploration, we kind of do this transition into the actual 3D arena. I guess a good example would be DBZ Kakarot, right? How we do the exploration and then we encounter enemies, and then it just takes us over to the actual 3D arena fighter stuff. Maybe it could be something similar to that. Who knows? Now, if we go over to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, this is where it gets even more interesting, my personal opinion. This, once again, is going to be the European page. Look what it says for the genre. Action Adventure. That's what it says for Xenoverse 3. So, the exploration to Xenoverse 3 could be as vast as DBZ Kakarot. We got to fly to different locations, you know, open up the Dragon Ball map and go over to the Kame House and, you know, whatever, all the different locations as I just mentioned, right? Could Xenoverse 3 be similar to DBZ Kakarot? And the story mode, for example. Notice how I mentioned that the story mode for Xenoverse 1 and 2, it was just cutscenes and battles, cutscenes, battles. For Xenoverse 3, what if it's like cutscenes, of course, but in order to go to the next mission, we have to fly over there. If we go over to the actual Steam page, scroll down, look what it says. Action RPG. Going back to Xenoverse 3, Action Adventure RPG. So It's kind of cool, right? That one RPG genre being here in Xenoverse 3 is going to make the game even better, my personal opinion. And plus, as I said before, the adventure category, even though it says that over here for Xenoverse 2 adventure, it could still be significantly different to Xenoverse 2, right? We just don't know yet. We have to wait for even more info, details, all that good stuff. You guys are already in the right place, so if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I will be keeping you guys up to date in terms of Xenoverse 3, all things Xenoverse 3 related, news, info, official stuff, speculation videos, some of those. This is it. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think about today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.